the soul of that line, maybe with the person's chart we're reading, or soul communication with the person who volunteered to courageously be with us on this journey. So we have been having so much fun. I've been looking forward to each of these. And Bella, I think is this our last one, or do we have one more? The 1-3? Yeah. So we have one more, the 1-3, which we'll get to next week. And Bella, you want to jump in?
Yeah, now we're everywhere. So sorry for that hiccup. We had a long conversation, like a 2 hour, 18 minutes or something conversation, Ashley, about where we're going, what the next steps are, how to work together, what our core values are. So that made us be a little bit late. So we are diving to the 11th profile. There are 12 profiles. When you make your human design chart, it's going to say profile is going to be one number from 1 to 6. There's going to be a slash and another number from 1 to 6. And there is a difference depending if you have a 4, for example. There is a difference having the 4 as your first number and having the 4 as your second number. So that's what we have been shining light on, because Simone and I and Ashley, we have worked a lot with the lines before, and you can speak about the 6th line and you can, okay, this is the archetype of this line. And actually, when we put them into a profile, they're going to express themselves in a world a little bit different. If you have it in a first line, this is in first placement, in the first number, the line is going to be your role. It's going to be your personality. It's going to be kind of what the first thing that people notice about you. And then the second line is more about your soul, your wisdom, your body. It's kind of an unconscious extent, but that you can run away from. You might even understand really how it expresses through you. But a lot of times other people are going to tell you about, I perceive you like this and like this. Like you are really wise, or you are really somebody who seems to always be in flow. And maybe if you have then second line or 5th line in your second number, it's going to be more from what people give you as feedback that you're going to realize, okay, yeah, I have that. That's really there. So we did speak about the 4-1 profile, and I even think that it might be last week. It was not long ago. So that would have been the inverse of what we're going to speak about today. Today we're going to speak about the 1-4. And both the 4-1 and the 1-4 are not very common. I think it's about 2.5% of the population that has a 1-4 profile. So that's why when we are going next week to speak about 1-3, that's a much more common. I think it's like 16%, a much more common profile. And I don't actually know more than 1 or 2 1-4 profiles, 1-4 profile people that I can think of. And one is the person who was doing all the paintings for the 64 door for us in a few months in the spring last year. And yeah, it's not a common profile. I know many of them, and maybe it is because they are a little bit shy, and they are shy in the first line. They're kind of a little bit hidden in like kind of doing what they love. And then the 4th line is about the heart. So it's going to need that community and that, breath with others in order to even want to come out and play. So let me go into each one of the lines. So the first line, at this point when we are at the 11th profile, we probably remember the first line. It is the creator. It is the investigator. Those are the 2 words that we use in Gene Keys and Human Design. It is the person that is going to go deep into something. That is going to go down into the basement, and it's going to have something that kind of sparks it. And it's going to be investigating investigating if something works, if it doesn't work, if it's safe, if it's not safe. It's going to kind of create a foundation, and it might not come up from the basement and speak about it until it really tested it enough time. So there's something scientific about it. For me, the first line is kind of masculine in that sense. It needs the science. I know that in human design, it's also been said that the first line, that it's feminine. For me, it's masculine, and it's going to want to know what's in it for me? Like if it comes out and it speaks about this creation and it's going to maybe get somebody on board in the team, like doing something with this creation, it's always going to feel in a relationship, what's in it for me? Because otherwise it's probably going to end up that it kind of goes and does its own thing. And there is a little bit of a difference if you have a fourth line and or like there's a little bit of difference 1-4 profile or 1-3 profile. 1-4 profile for me feels a little bit more, they are loners in the sense that they kind of like escape the relationship. They would probably need to feel the heart in order to really stay. They're not like leaving it because of wanting to escape somewhere else. So I would say that the 1 profile is sensitive in the sense that the soul line, the fourth line, is about the heart, is about the community, is about speaking with your heart. But that's, like we said, that's the second line. That's the soul that wants to express itself so that it's understood, so that the truth is across. It needs to kind of feel it can breathe and that it can trust whenever it's expressing. Because again, what's in it for me? If nobody's going to hear me, then there's no point for me to express. And knowing that part of that influence, part of that spokesperson really comes from a deeper wisdom than the conscious role in the world. It's something there that it's here to be influential with the people that are in the same community, that are on the same wavelength. And otherwise, it kind of feels like it's not worth it. There is something about safety. I have seen some 1-4 profiles that have a little bit of hesitancy about life, and that like it feels like they're waiting a little bit to kind of come out and play. And that's again the difference. If you have a third line, if you're 1-3, life is going to have you stumble of things. Life is going to have you fall down the stairs. But if you're a fourth line, you have that possibility to kind of be alone or be with others. That's what we say with the fourth line, being with others or being on your own. And I've seen that in 1-4s to kind of dip your foot into life, but maybe not feel like you can completely breathe, that's completely your place. And then comes this like a little bit of a withdrawal. And the other shadow that I've seen is serving others. We know that the fourth line in Gene Keys is called the server. And it almost can be like the 1-4 takes a lot of responsibility on their shoulder, because the first line anchor is that person who can be responsible, who's going to say, okay, if nobody does it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make sure that it's safe. And then that big heart, soul, just like takes on everything and serves everybody and thinks about everybody except yourself. And then at the end of the day, when it explodes, you're going to feel like, okay, win it for me. Why did you do it? And then maybe backlash, so that you just are going to think about yourself, or so you lose trust in relationships, you lose trust in reciprocity. I feel like that. It was funny today because I feel like I need to speak about the 1 and the 4 together. Otherwise, we can't really see what this profile is. Maybe just some word. It is different if you are, for example, a 5-1, like we said, or a 4, you have it flipped, because then that solitude and that investigation is going to be with the body. Here, the investigation is in the kind of active part of your life. It is going down into the basement. It is staying with ideas. It is being a creator, and it is to come out like a lighthouse in the world with your own creation. So creativity is extremely important as like a conscious aspect of who you are. So if you are a parent, for example, to 1-4, you want to allow the child to test all these things so it finds something that it's really love and that it wants to go deep in, because it's sad for a first line to not have that possibility. I think that's what I can think now, Simone. I would love you to come in and invite in the consciousness of 1-4.
Let's do it. Let's see what the 1-4 has to say. And to communicate with the profile. 1-4 profile for the purpose of wisdom, purpose of healing, for the purpose of co-creation, for the highest good and the highest vibration. The 1-4 profile lifts its head, and it's almost got this kind of hat with a really long kind of bill, and it's like really focused on something, and then the hat's almost like directing its focus, almost maybe like a welding hat that kind of lifted up, and it looks up, and it's almost like it was awaiting us, and it knew we were coming to communicate, and it's working on something. It really does feel like the metaphor of a welder putting together the pieces and parts that it has collected together. And it's interesting. The next thing that the 1-4 profile shows me is a relaxation in the body. And the 1-4 is bringing my attention to the lower chakras, like the groundedness in the second and the first chakra, and this relaxation in that part of the body. And it's saying when there's relaxation and connectedness, it's easy to focus on the heart. And when it says easy to focus on the heart, it's like the project in front of him that he's working on. You know, when there's this peace and calm in the body, it's easy for the heart to be focused and putting the pieces together. And then the 1-4 kind of lifts up its creation, its work of art, right in front of for us to see. And the 1-4 is like really proud of this creation, but not in an excited way, just in it almost feels like it's receiving its own creation. And there's a peacefulness in that. And there's it's as if the 1-4 profile is looking at this creation with such admiration. And there's an understanding that this creation from the heart that's grounded in the body, this peaceful creation, is both of him and of the world. So it's almost like in creating it from the heart, that he almost doesn't, it's like it's his and it's not his. It's there in the world to be to benefit all, in a sense. And there's no sacrifice in the sharing. And the 1-4 is showing me how when you create from this place of peace and groundedness in your own body, and you bring it out into the world, there's no sacrifice in bringing it out into the world. It's not like you're giving up a part of yourself to share this gift that you brought into the world. And there's a knowing that it's of you and it's not yours. And it's of the world and it just exists. And there's such the 1-4 then kind of sits back and contemplates this amazing creation that's grounded in the body and in the heart, and is just like tickle pink. You're just so happy that it had this experience of focused creation, of purposeful creation. And it's showing me how it knew the whole trajectory, like it knew what it was doing. It's almost like the whole come from of the whole experience was so grounded. It actually knew, it saw, I'm going to research, I'm going to create this thing. And then there's this, in a sense, satisfaction from going through the whole process and bringing it to fruition in a really grounded way. And there's no selfishness there. There's no fear, there's no regret, there's no sacrifice. It feels so in balance, and it feels so received in the world, and as this blooming from the heart. So beautiful. Do you have questions for the 1-4?
There's no questions coming up for me right now. Amanda, do you have a question? She's on.
Hey, Amanda, and hey, Yvonne. Thanks for being with us.
I mean, Simone, I was thinking, I'm going to mute you just so it doesn't
There's
do that.
Louise. Yeah. There's Louise too.
Oh, hi. I was feeling into the sweetness when I heard you speak, because there is a difference between the 2-4 profile and the 1-4 profile. And I don't know, there's almost, the 1 can be loner. The 2 is a hermit. So there is something with the difference there. And the 2-4 can lash out of you. Okay, so maybe this is the thing. The 2-4, when it doesn't feel the 4th line of the heart and the trust and the friendship and all that, kind of like says, okay, you are disappointing me. You are not there. Like, it kind of lashes out at the other. It can have part of itself where it doesn't see its heart, and it kind of like blames it on the other. And what I feel with the first line is it doesn't do that. It might go into like its own kind of attitude, but it doesn't lash out. And sometimes I just feel like we need to include the 1-4 and show it's a win-win. Like, trust it. And sweetness can be a really good way of treating a 1-4. And I mean, maybe that's the question, what is the effect, the true sweetness between humans? How's that perceived by the 1-4? That would be my question.
Let's see what the 1-4 says to that. The 1-4 takes me to this image of swans on the pond gliding through the water. And there are also ducks in the water. And they all are getting along. It's like there's no I started to say there's no fussing and fighting on the water, but the swans, the 1-4 takes me to the image of the swans. I feel like the 1-4 is relating to the image of the swans on the water, swimming their graceful dance on the water. And then you see the ducks over there, like putting their heads under and their little feet, to bob for water. So there is, there is a sweetness in this cohabitation, if you will. And it's what I really see and feel in my body is that the 1-4 when the 1-4 knows its role, it can exist in this ecosystem with the others having different roles and different personalities. And when it stays in its own role and understands, then the peace exists from the allowing of everything in the ecosystem to live its role, in a sense. I hope that answered your question.
I love that. And I feel like that is the first line in the personality. I see that with several 3s in my life. Like, when they have that clarity, then it's fine. Then when we know our responsibilities, when we know that we are there and that there is a win-win, then suddenly it feels peaceful. And there is that independence in the first line. That can be really cool, like working with a person that has a first line profile. It is independence where you can do your thing, I can do my thing, and then we kind of meet and we speak about each other's creation, or like about what you like. Yeah, I like that. It rings very true to me.
Amanda has a question that I think it might be a good one. How does the 1-4 respond to being challenged, especially in the lower chakras? Let's see what the 1-4 profile, what wisdom can come through. The 1-4 profile shows me this. When there's challenge, the 1-4 profile shows me how the energy is up in the third chakra. And it said, drop that energy down, bring it down at least into the second chakra, if not the first chakra. And you'll see that what happens is what I'm witnessing in my own body as the 1-4 shows us is when the energy drop, like it's almost like a fireball in the third chakra. But when that energy drops down into the second chakra, there's a calming that occurs. It's almost like, imagine the sun going into the water, and this calming occurs. And when the calming occurs, it's almost as if you can see the challenge without all the fire. And then when you drop it further down into the first chakra, you're grounded, and that's the place to respond from, instead of being in the fire ball in the third chakra. So the 1-4 is encouraging you, when you're challenged, to bring that energy out of the third chakra, down and through the second chakra, into the first chakra, and ground. And then from that place of grounding, that's the come from. And then it's showing me that when you drop it down into the first chakra, what you see is all the pieces and parts. So when you're up in the third chakra, it's like you can't even see what the challenge is. You're just challenged. But when you drop it down into the first chakra, then it's like all the pieces and parts are laid out in front of me. It's like they all popped out of the body. And I'm like, oh, here's the challenge. I don't have all the parts, or there's missing parts, or there's too many parts, or I don't want these parts. But it's like you can understand all the aspects of the challenge in a way that allows you to ground and understand what you need and what you don't need, or what you don't want. So that's the 1-4's reply. And let me see, now it's showing me, it's interesting, it's almost like, here's the second chakra, and it's like almost like there's energy flying out, so out of the, just like flying out of the second chakra, almost like a lightning bolt kind of coming through the second chakra. And this is a different challenge. And I don't completely understand it, but I'll explain what he's showing me. So then what the 1-4 shows is, open up the second chakra and look at what's in your creative abode, and look at what the catalyst is. And it's almost like he's showing me that the lightning bolt is almost like a splinter that has come into the second chakra. And when you open up your second chakra, you can, the splinter can come easily out, and it calms the second chakra right down. And then when it comes back together, there's this feeling of what's being triggered in me, and I see the word knowing. It's almost like then when you come back together, you have this knowing that the challenge isn't really what you thought the challenge was, that it was, it started you perceive it's this challenge, but when you actually open up your second chakra, allow that splinter to come out, and then you close it back up, then you can actually see what the challenge is. Then you can drop it down into the first chakra, and everything. It's interesting though, when he drops that down into the first chakra, the first and second chakra become almost like working as one. Their fields start working together. And the other thing that popped through the shamanic part, the story part, is that when it was showing me like opening up the second chakra and letting the splinter come out, I lived in Tucson for a really long time, and there are these cactus called cholla cactus or jumping cactus, and they'll jump on you. And the little spine of the cactus has a little hook on it, so it kind of goes in, and then it hooks in your skin. And one of the ways that you get that out is you just go into a body of water. You jump in the swimming pool, you go get in your bathtub, and you just soak. And as your skin's pores open up, those little spines, they float out, so you can get them out without pulling them out. And so there's something there about releasing whatever the penetration is without pain, without agitation, with just awareness and opening up and softening. So good question, Amanda. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. I feel, especially when we have, a line that we call the anchor, if we can release anything from the sacral chakra that is not helping us, and then, like you say, allowing that second chakra to actually ground into the first chakra, I feel like that anchor is going to be, it's just going to be much more powerful. We have a very long comment from somebody who actually we did a reading. He's a 3/6 profile, and I remember we did a reading. So you want to read this long?
Sure. Besides the technical resonance between the 1 and the 4, it seems to me that the two initial bottom line energies have a tough way trying to be an evolutive stage in real life. If things don't go the way they see it, they just abdicate and move on their wisdom to some other 4 group. How can the 1/4 live their inner shine at this evolutionary stage? The image I see is for them to somehow be stuck. Let's see what the 1/4 has. What a great question, Guillermo. See what the 1/4 has to say. Well, the 1/4 says there is a stuckness, and it shows it to me like this. So imagine we're in the first chakra. And if this is the front and this is the back, at the back of the first chakra, kind of at the bottom back of the ball, there is stuck energy. And you're right. It's almost, it reminds me of if we imagine a bulb in the ground, and the bulb doesn't, the shoot from the bulb doesn't come out until that fall. And then when it starts to get cool, it's in the ground and it's building energy. And then we have the shoot up. And that's what it feels like. There is this, the bottom back of the first chakra, there is this energy that feels stuck. But it also, the words that the 1/4 is using is not fully developed yet. Thus the image of the bulb and the energy buildup. But the 1/4 says it's more than what I'm using this bulb metaphor, because there's growth that happens through the first chakra. There's the learning how to ground energy, but there's also something about transforming energy. So if you can imagine that, when you ground with Gaia and you learn to alchemize energy, the 1/4 is saying that's partly it. And it's not just about grounding energy or alchemizing energy. It's also about being aware of the energy and being aware that you don't know what to do with the energy, and that there will be some frustration or agitation in learning processes, because it's that disequilibrium that creates the innovation and the catalyzes the creation. And then when you go through that process over and over again, the process of disequilibrium, as he's doing it numerous times, what I start to see is that energy that is kind of stuck or blocked in the back of the first chakra, it starts to lighten up and expand, lighten up and expand, lighten up and expand. And it's almost like a diffusion is coming through. That is in itself, this whole process is the alchemical process. And that, the 1-4 says there are people who are afraid to fall down and stand up, to fail. And how can you have disequilibrium without trying, without, knowing that you're going to succeed each time? And he takes me back to the image we started with the 1-4 being in that first and second chakra, being at peace, creating from the heart, and then it all coming together. And the 1-4 is showing me the reps it takes to go through that creative process and feel the disequilibrium, and that is what alchemizes the energy. And he doesn't use the word time; he's using like practice. So some people might practice in ways that allows them to experience that disequilibrium and alchemize the energy really fast, and other people just take longer times. There's no set time, or it's just reps of the creation process, the investigative process, the putting it all together process, the grounding it in your body process. And with practice, then the alchemy occurs. I hope that answered your question, Guillermo. What a wonderful question.
Is there anything else, Simone, comes up before we end the conversation? Oh, you are muted.
It feels complete. And the 1-4 hands us all a rose, so beautiful rose that it bloomed out of its first and second chakra. So just receiving that rose from the 1-4 and saying thank you so much. And it's like, come back and visit anytime.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And we have the 1-3 left. We will come live with that next Monday, the 15th. And the way that it's going to work after that is that we're going to still come live maybe for half an hour on Mondays. And then we're actually go into our membership group and do something. So you are super welcome to join our membership group. If you join the price is as low as $22 per month. If you join for like a period of, and that's where we're going to do these kind of conversations, and also that the people in the membership are the ones that are going to have their chart read, are going to be able to ask the questions in beforehand. Even if you're in a weird time zone, if you're in Australia or even in Europe, it's super late right now, you can give us your questions before, because it's really cool. Like, especially it felt like we had somebody in the, it felt like for me, it's at least that the people that were asking questions, that even if you are not 1-4 yourself, it felt like you were asking from experience, that you have somebody in your life, that is this profile. So in the group, of course, you can then submit, your partner's part or your own part. So that's how we are going to move on. I believe we might still be going live inside the CLN, and of course on our page, Unlock Your Design, for everybody. And then it's going to be, even for people that are off Facebook, the membership group, you don't have to be Facebook. So that's also really cool. Is there anything else that we should mention before we log off?
Well, I'm excited this week because we are starting our other membership group on Thursday, Business by Design. And we have been ramping up and building, and we're super excited about that. And Bella and I always just love coming and being with everyone. And thank you for joining us and sharing with us.
We can't stop ourselves. We have to just be out and about, right? Thank you, everybody. See you next week, same time. Bye bye.